There's a line spoken by the late great Brian Glover in Alien 3. Rumour control, here are the facts. Now I'm going to use that as the basis for a jumping off point regarding this movie. There are things about Alien 3 which have bothered me for over 20 years, ever since I first saw it during the summer of '97 and then the following summer of '98. The first concerns how an alien egg got on board the Sulaco. If you watch James Cameron's film, there are some key details to note about the Queen. When Ripley fires grenade rounds into her egg sac or ovipositor, it's not solid eggs which come out in these wounds. It's an acid-like substance, which indicates that not only is this a means to lay the eggs, but it's also a way that they are made. When the Queen leaves her nests to chase after Ripley and Newt, she detaches her egg sac. So that's the first point I would like to make there. The fact that she has no egg sac or ovipositor with her as she chases after Ripley. So if we are to take the facts or details about how an egg got on board at face value, well, there's only one thing that you can surmise. It's the wishful thinking of an overactive imagination on the part of Walter Hill and David Giler, probably Walter Hill mostly. And a lot of ideas in the film are cobbled together from various rejected drafts, including Vincent Ward and John Fasano's work, which dealt with a wooden planet and an impregnated Ripley. But I digress. The main issue with Alien 3 is how it could come to be. The link, the chain between Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens was strong. You watch the end of the first movie, beginning of the second, they link up seamlessly. Or that even though we don't know that Ripley has spent 57 years in hypersleep, the fact that we end with her in the escape pod and we begin with her in the escape pod creates that chain. Now, looking at Alien 3, we see the Sulaco in space, we see them in their hypersleep pods. That's Ripley, Newt, Hicks and Bishop, what's left of him. But there's this egg. Now, how did that get on board? I've looked at various fan theories over the years. Some people have suggested perhaps that Bishop, Lance Henriksen, put one on board, although that runs counter to his programming. He cannot harm by mission of action allow to be harmed a human being, which is one of Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, which got incorporated in James Cameron's Aliens. And then there's the thing about Newt already being impregnated in the nests. Now when Ripley goes and rescues Newt, there's a facehugger which is about to try and impregnate her, but it stopped. So could she have already been affected? I don't trust that idea for one moment. So then how did Ripley get impregnated? Well, it's wishful thinking again. So these fallacies, these illogical steps in the screenplay don't leave us with a reason to believe in a movie which plays fast and loose with the logic and facts, although it's a fictional universe. Now, David Fincher was an experienced filmmaker at the time he made this. He hadn't done all those films which came after, and I must confess I do not like his movies. I've tried to meet various ones halfway, even the recent Mank, as weak as it was. He just doesn't make films that I can relate to on an emotional or intellectual level. But I digress. Back to Alien 3, and we have another problem. Ripley as the only survivor. Now there are spoilers in this review, I make that perfectly clear. But why kill off Newt, Hicks and Bishop to leave Ripley on her own? The logical progression for the story, Ripley's story had already been told in Alien and Aliens. She'd gone through that arc of being haunted by the alien, overcoming that fear in the second movie, finding some semblance of peace. What happens to her in Alien 3 is a complete betrayal of the character, and I would argue that she's a totally different person in Alien 3. She's kind of given up. She's been weighed down by this whole experience. She says at one point, you know, where are you when I need you? You've been in my life so long I can't remember anything else. But these lines are so obvious and sort of like, you know, Ernie the Explainer and, you know, Captain Obvious. It's just so ham-fisted and hackneyed. Not good storytelling at all. And then we have her co-stars, these bald-headed inmates, rapists, murderers, you know, people who've done horrible things or been convicted of crimes, and don't even think about trying to establish any kind of sympathy or rapport for any of them, because, well, they don't last very long. Charles Dance, who's one of the more sympathetic characters, is killed off early. Charles S. Dutton, who's really, I think the person that you would relate to most in this story, even more than Ripley, it would seem. Well, I don't want to go into details, but again, it's just not worth putting the investment in, at least emotionally. I watched Alien 3 a second time. It was more to confirm the fact that I had seen a film which could be so, at least on a nightmare level, just so horrible and hideous and bad. Not just from a filmmaking standpoint, but a pure storytelling one. Everything that made the first two Alien movies, their suspense and action and atmosphere, was missing from Alien 3. Nothing about the movie, not even Elliot Goldenthal's score, which has since been released in its more complete form by La La Land Records, can redeem anything about this. It wasn't made with any kind of love or affection for the character of Ripley or the Alienverse. It's simply something that was there to make money. An early trailer for Alien 3 made it seem that it was going to take place on Earth. Earth is not Fury 16. Again, that's how it's pronounced in Alien Resurrection. Fury 16. It's also called Fiorina 161, or, you know, blah 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 blah. You know, it's a silly premise, and what follows in the movie, these rod puppet shots of the alien, the differences in size. In 1 minute it's the size of like a little puppy, and next minute it's 9 foot tall. And a lot of the set pieces, the bait and chase stuff, which is in the second half of the movie when the inmates are trying to lure it into the lead pit so they can destroy it, you know, that way. And again, you know, it's not worth investing any kind of anything important into these characters, because you're not given a reason to care. And so much about Alien 3 is a failure, an insult to those that like Alien and Aliens. And that brings me to an interesting point which links Alien 3 and Alien Covenant, and that's the alien point of view shots. On Alien 3, cinematographer Alex Thompson used a prime 10mm lens unsqueezed for these point of view shots, and it can approximate kind of like a fisheye view. But there's not much that's scary about being chased by a fish or, you know, Toady the Tadpole. But again, it's really just a failure of imagination and filmmaking, and it doesn't work. Alien is not Predator. In Predator, the heat vision enhances the storytelling. In Alien 3, the use of that lens to give an idea of what the alien is seeing, again, totally rips away the suspense, because you know exactly what the alien is doing, rather than it being a sense of, oh, it could be anywhere. It's suddenly you're following its point of view, which you never did in the earlier movies, and it doesn't add anything to it. And then there was what I call past the vision in Alien Covenant, where it looked like they took some wet pasta, threw it over the lens, and then just let the drips just sort of drip down, and then they animated that to make it seem like the veins of an eye. That's why I call that pasta vision, and that didn't work, even though that was only in the latter part of the film. There's no way that Alien 3 could be considered canon or an official entry in the franchise. It's a failure as a concept, movie and sequel. The chain has been broken. In terms of narrative construction and continuity, there's Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens. That's it. I give Alien 3 exactly what it deserves. Nothing. In space, no one can hear me scream for a refund.